A crash involving a stolen car and a TTC bus sent 9 people to hospital this morning, including 2 with life-threatening injuries. It happened near Bathurst and Wilson in North York. Chris Glover has the latest from the scene.
The smashed up vehicles here at the intersection of Wilson and Bathurst are now gone, but police say around 1:50 this morning there was a horrific crash here. A white BMW along with a black SUV were traveling westbound on Wilson at a high rate of speed. The black SUV made it through the intersection, but the white BMW hit a City of Toronto bus, a TTC bus, with such force that you can see extensive damage to the driver's side where that white BMW is said to have hit that bus. Here's more from police about why they know those vehicles were traveling at such a high rate of speed.
This caused quite a massive collision. So what we have is the white BMW struck the TTC with such force that while it was initially traveling southbound, as you see behind me, the vehicle, the TTC vehicle, was spun around and faced northbound. As you can imagine, there were a number of very serious injuries. Police immediately responded to this collision, and uniform officers actually found the white BMW on fire.
And officers quickly put out that fire and got the 4 people inside that BMW out. 2 of them were taken to hospital in life-threatening condition. Now, as for the bus, a woman was actually tossed from the bus at the moment of impact. But the TTC and police say that the 4 people on the bus and the driver, including that woman who was tossed out, all of them are only suffering minor injuries as a result of this collision. The TTC says that it is cooperating with the police investigation. Certainly there would be extensive video on that TTC vehicle that was mounted with cameras as well. Police will be sorting through that footage and looking for others from the local businesses that are in this area as well. Police confirmed that the white BMW was in fact stolen, and the Toronto Police Association says that 2 of the 4 people in the BMW were out on bail at the time of this collision, including 1 out on bail for violent robbery. And the TPA was saying that this is yet another example of why bail reform is so important in this country. Now, as for what these 2 vehicles, the white BMW and the black SUV, were doing going so fast at 1:50 in the morning, police say they still don't know. Was racing involved? They still are not sure. That's part of the investigation. They also say that they do not have a make or model of the black SUV, but they're certainly looking for that information, and they're asking anybody with any video or any witness accounts to contact police. Chris Glover, CBC News, Toronto.
At Queen's Park today, the province announcing new legislation aiming to make streets and communities safer, including cracking down on careless driving.
That's why our proposed legislation would strengthen 3 pillars of public safety: safer streets, safer communities, and stronger enforcement.
If passed, the Safer Streets, Stronger Communities Act will also introduce new penalties for fraud related to vehicle identification numbers. And it will allow the Ford government to follow through on its divisive plan to shut down 10 supervised consumption sites, including 5 here in Toronto that are within 200 meters of a school or childcare centre. Now, harm reduction workers have been pushing the province to reverse course on their decision. They held a press conference this afternoon reiterating their stance that the closures will only lead to more deaths.
These cuts are going to kill people. They are going to kill. We've been here before, and we need all municipalities to start arranging for their emergency preparedness plans. You better get plans, because there will be no funding for outreach. There will be no funding for overdose prevention. There will be no funding for the sweeps outside for needle pickup. That will all be gone with this funding.
The 10 sites will be closed no later than the end of next March if that bill is passed. Also at Queen's Park today, advocates were demanding improved cancer care, saying there have been many advancements that could save lives. The problem, though, being access. Ali Chiasson reports.
Some of the many struggles faced by cancer patients in Ontario include wait times for diagnostic tests, wait times for MRIs, limited access to genetic testing, and paying out of pocket for cancer drugs. The people standing outside Queen's Park today have experienced it all.
For me, I had a mammogram delayed for a year and then found out and was diagnosed right from the beginning with stage 4.
When I got my positive biopsy results, that was May 26th of 2023, I didn't get my first line of treatment for 11 weeks, which is way too long.
Greer and Spring are lending their voices to the work of advocacy organization Cancer Action Now, which aims to improve access to treatment across Canada. They say while there have been many amazing advancements in research and treatment, provinces haven't kept up.
I am here because my mom, sister, and I all had breast cancer, and my dad had prostate cancer, all within the last 5 years.
And despite this lineage within her family, at least for Robbie and her sister, trying to get genetic testing was like screaming into an abyss.
It took a lot of advocating for ourselves in order to get the proper diagnosis and treatment.
Self-advocacy is important, but Laura Greer says patients shouldn't feel alone in the fight.
We are waiting for the government to release the renewed Ontario Cancer Plan. This is something that we need. We need to know that there is a plan to make cancer a priority.
When asked about the renewed cancer plan the province committed to last election, a spokesperson touted the investments the province made in providing hospitals with more MRIs, for example, and said they'll continue to work towards getting procedure wait times closer to targets. Quote, "That is why we continue to make record investment in our publicly funded healthcare system, including over $2 billion a year on cancer treatment." There is one more request, however.
Importantly, we want to make sure that patients and their caregivers are involved in any cancer plan going forward.
Ali Chiasson, CBC News, Toronto.
Police in Brampton are searching for a person wanted for 3 sexual assaults that happened near bus stops. In all of the incidents, the suspect approached the victims posing as a rideshare driver and offered them a lift. In 2 of the incidents, this 4-door sedan was used. After they got into the car, the suspect drove the victims to another location and attacked them. Police say the suspect is a man between 20 to 25 years old with short black hair and a short black beard. Anyone with information, including dashcam footage, is asked to contact police. A 15-year-old girl who pleaded guilty to manslaughter in the swarming death of a Toronto homeless man was sentenced to probation today for another assault that she committed at the Wilson subway station earlier this year while out on bail. The girl was awaiting trial for the death of Kenneth Lee when she assaulted a 52-year-old man at the Wilson station in February. And she pleaded guilty today to assault and violating her release conditions. During sentencing, the judge said her participation in the assault was relatively minor, while the boy she was with allegedly stabbed the man twice. Her sentence today of 12 months probation will be served concurrently with the 21 months probation in her manslaughter sentence. Canada Post workers were back on the picket lines this morning after walking off the job on Friday. Now, this latest strike happening at one of the most crucial times of the year, with many small businesses relying on Canada Post to deliver packages as the holiday season approaches. Our Greg Ross has more on the impact of this labor disruption.
What do we want? What do we want?
Postal workers standing in solidarity. They say they're prepared to stay off the job this holiday season if that's what it takes.
These letter carriers want to do their routes. Unfortunately, Canada Post is a dirty negotiator. They don't want to offer us fair wages. They don't want to offer us safe working conditions.
The threat of a lengthy strike has many small business owners scrambling to find other ways to service online customers.
We've removed Canada Post from our website and we are going with UPS.
At Wheels and Wings Hobbies on the Danforth, about 45% of their business is online. But since the start of the Canada Post strike, their online sales are down about 90%.
It's the extra cost. Couriers are a lot more expensive than Canada Post.
They've run into a similar problem at Outer Layer, a gift shop on Queen Street West. They've decided to pay the extra cost for shipping themselves.
Yes, I am. Yeah. We don't want to discourage people from ordering.
Part of their online business here is greeting cards. The strike has forced them to temporarily stop sending those because they usually rely on regular mail.
Letter mail is the same price no matter where. it's going.
Price of a stamp.
Exactly.
If this continues, many small businesses will see a huge impact on revenues at their busiest time of year.
The month of December, we will probably lose about $50,000.
These small business owners say they understand why postal workers are striking at a crucial time of year. They're just hoping for a quick resolution.
Best case scenario, they come to an agreement that works for everybody.
Yes, exactly. And soon.
Greg Ross, CBC News, Toronto.
Mayor Olivia Chow expressing relief today as Justin Trudeau pledged support to keep Toronto's Santa Claus Parade afloat as the city faces a $250,000 deficit that has put next year's parade in jeopardy.
Last year, I began to hear that they are in trouble. They're okay this year because we're supporting them. And they told us that next year there won't be any parade. I thought, oh my God.
Trudeau wrote on X that it's a great tradition and his government wants to keep it going for years to come, though he didn't specify the amount his government will be offering. Organizers have said if they don't overcome a $250,000 deficit, next year's parade may not happen. And meanwhile, Chow says this year's parade is getting a $100,000 boost from the city as part of a $2 million fund to help festivals struggling after the pandemic. The Toronto Argos are back in town, touching down at Pearson tonight, fresh off winning the franchise's 19th Grey Cup. The Boatmen pulled away late to beat the Winnipeg Blue Bombers 41-24 in Vancouver on Sunday. Dale Manuktuk caught up with the team as they prepare for Tuesday's championship rally.
For the second time in 3 years, Toronto is the Grey Cup champion.
The Argos lifting the Grey Cup for a record 19th time. The 111th edition of the championship was held between the lines in BC Place. It was the second time in 3 years Toronto sent Winnipeg home with the CFL title up for grabs. After celebrating on the field, the party continued.
Didn't sleep much, and then got about 4 minutes of sleep and then went and Coxie woke me up. It's like, come on, guys.
Come on, man. The team touched down in Toronto with the Grey Cup.
Arbuckle with time. Looks, end zone, touchdown!
Nick Arbuckle completed 2 touchdown passes, completing one of the most unlikely MVP performances in league history.
Nigga's a professional, man, to the fullest. Smart dude, came in there, didn't miss a beat, didn't show any doubt. As soon as Chad went down, he knew he was the guy, and he carried that torch.
The champs won't get much time to rest. They celebrate tomorrow in front of Argos faithful.
We are excited to bring the cup home. That's always just a delight when you get a chance to hoist the cup and then bring it home to share. Because it's great to have it, but standing alone, all it does is makes your arms tired. Right? And when you actually have that opportunity to bring it home and allow the fans to see it, feel it, touch it, be a part of it, that's the real magic.
The celebration rally is scheduled for fans from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. in Maple Leaf Square. Dale Manuktuk, CBC News, Toronto.
We're going to deliver a targeted tax cut for the middle-class family.
That's why Ontario can't afford carbon tax queen Bonnie Crombie.
Coming up, the PCs and Liberals trade blows and attack ads as speculation builds about a possible early election in Ontario. Stay with us. We'll bring you more stories from our city when we come back. Welcome back. Things are heating up at Queen's Park over Doug Ford's plan to tear up some bike lanes in Toronto.
As a person who cycles, I have the right to take the most convenient and direct route to and from where I'm going and to arrive there and get home safely.
I just want to understand why municipalities or why they're not open to having a conversation of relocating these bike lanes into a different aspect of the city while maintaining the connectivity that they have.
Many groups have been voicing their opposition to the Ford government's Bill 212, which would remove bike lanes along Bloor Street, University Avenue, and Yonge Street. A Toronto City staff report released last week said removing those bike lanes would cost at least $48 million, a number disputed today by Ford's transportation secretary.
It just doesn't add up to me that it would cost double the amount to remove them as it would to put them forward.
We know that this has only ever been about
Doug Ford's personal grievances. He's still fighting the battles that he lost at City Council. But what's really concerning to me is now we have the Minister of Transportation saying he doesn't know how much it's going to cost either.
The city says the high costs will be due to planning, design, and construction requirements. Sakaria did not provide the province estimate of removing the lanes. Now, Toronto has voted overwhelmingly to oppose the province's legislation. Political advertising from Queen's Park is also heating up as talks of a potential early election get louder. Lorena Redekop has more on how the parties are sharpening their attacks.
Doug Ford isn't in it.
The political knives are out between the PCs and the Liberals on their party's social media accounts.
We're going to deliver a targeted tax cut for the middle class families.
This is just another stunt.
The PCs use their favorite nickname for Bonnie Crombie.
Bonnie Crombie says it's a stunt to point out her longtime support for the carbon tax. Ontario can't afford carbon tax queen Bonnie Crombie.
Crombie has ruled out adding a carbon tax if she becomes premier, but the ad connects her to the federal Liberals under Justin Trudeau.
Research has shown that negative ads are more memorable often with the public, that it taps into an instinct that we are more aware of something if it causes fear.
So far, the NDP doesn't have negative ads.
The Liberals and the Conservatives, they can go and they can fight each other and criticize each other. I'm focused on what we're going to deliver, which is a better Ontario.
It's smart.
It's smart.
The party recently finished an ad blitz focused on their leader.
I want a premier who gives a damn.
You deserve to be able to pay your rent.
One NDP strategist says negative ads will be needed at some point.
Absolutely. I think it's important to paint the choices and to kind of disqualify Bonnie Crombie and the Liberals before the election campaign even starts.
But she says the negative message is best not directly from the leader.
I give my phone number out.
And it's a softer tone in an ad posted on the Premier's social media, also set to air on TV.
They tell me, Doug, I'm sick of being stuck in traffic.
Putting Doug Ford front and center, highlighting his government's plans, though also taking a dig at the Liberal leader.
And unlike Bonnie Crombie's Liberals, we'll never put a toll on your trip or a bike lane on a major road.
The Liberals say they'll be coming out with a new ad soon, featuring Crombie. All this advertising as questions continue about when Ontarians will head to the polls.
I think what you're seeing provincially is that everyone wants to be ready.
This Conservative strategist says an incoming Trump administration could be part of what triggers an early election.
We know we're dealing with change south of the border. I think a lot of premiers are looking at that as an opportunity to say, I've got to have, a real clear pathway and a clear mandate to be able to set in place a plan for the next 4 years.
The advantage to the governing PCs is that they're the ones who will decide when the next election will be called, while the other parties have to figure out when to spend on their advertising to ensure it's most effective. Lorena Redekop, CBC News, Toronto.
Riley Lachuk joins us now with a look at the forecast. And Riley, it's been a pretty mild November so far.
Well, Kelda, all things considered, still a pretty decent day today, really across the region. Temperatures above seasonal for this time of the year. Normally, for this time of the year, we're looking at high temperatures in that 6-7 degree range. Some of these readings across southern Ontario today, 14s for Toronto and Hamilton. Back into the southwest, still seeing some pretty warm temperatures as well, 13 in Windsor through the afternoon hours today. And we will start to see a bit of cloud mixing in as we get through the overnight hours. Through the evening, some of that has already started to build into southwestern Ontario as we get through the overnight hours, so that's when we do start to see that clouds start to build in earnest. So a cloudier day as we get through the day on Tuesday. We start the day with some scattered showers through parts of southwestern Ontario to the tune of 2 to 5 millimeters. I'm not talking any major accumulation. This all part of an area of low pressure from Texas that's pulling a lot of Gulf moisture up into the Midwest, into the Prairie provinces, and into northwestern Ontario as well. We get the outer fringes of this as we get through the rest of the day on Tuesday. I think we do have a chance of some scattered showers late in the day for the Toronto area. I think the best chance of that comes late in the day through the Niagara region and certainly back earlier in the day through northwestern Ontario. I think this particular model maybe is overplaying the rainfall amounts just a little bit, but I certainly think there's that chance there for some scattered showers as we get through the later part of Tuesday. Wednesday, another cloudy day. We'll get the influence a little bit from another system that will roll through that could bring some moisture up from the eastern seaboard of the U.S. and kind of funnel that into the region as we get later in the work week. This, again, I think this particular forecast model overdoing it with the rain. I think we do have a chance of some showers, though, really, as we get through the next couple of days. What we will feel as we get through the day on Tuesday, though, certainly will be the wind. So we start the day really across the region with wind gusts in that 40-50 range into southwestern Ontario. We start to pick up a little bit of wind in the Toronto area as we get through the afternoon hours as well. So looking at northeast winds 20, gusting 40 as we get through the next couple of days here at least. So certainly Tuesday looking like a windy one. We do hold on to some of that wind as we get through the day into Wednesday as well. But we are looking at a couple of breezy and kind of dreary days ahead. Look at your morning temperatures, really 10 degrees through southwestern Ontario, 6 first thing in the morning in Toronto, up to 10 Kelda through the afternoon hours, and then we drop back down to more seasonal and more dreary weather as we get through the rest of the week.
Thank you so much, Riley. And that is our show for you tonight. Thanks for joining us. Have a great night, everyone.